Happy Tears Day. Yeah. Hi. So on Tears Day, I will normally reflect on the rune I've drawn for the week, draw into a conclusion, my thoughts and feelings on the rune and my experiences with it. To be honest, I'm feeling a little bit I don't know, a moment of doubt, self-doubt, a moment of, I don't know, being uncertain, shaken. Nothing highlights that more really than the fact that for the first time I've woken up and gone to work without putting on my Odin pendant, which goes to some extent to explain some feelings, I guess. In addition, the staff I've been working on, wood carving and that, it suffered a little bit of a mishap that's making it a little harder to, I don't know, return to and try and complete ahead of the Vikings Valhalla festival this weekend. Let's just say that its name is Frey's gift, as it was a piece of wood that I found in the woods to work on, to carve, and that the first carving I put on it was a depiction of Frey with a sizable appendage, shall we say. I mean, to quote the Northman, it refers to Frey as the god of erections. So I was working on that on Saturday, and I've done a lot more carvings and that on the staff, and for the past week I've really been extra careful with it because, you know, having a little appendage sticking out, I was being exceptionally cautious so as not to break it. Done a lot of work up the top of the staff, ravens, and tidying up the top end and making weird shapes out of it so it makes it look like a feature. And then I started working on the base of the staff and engraving a wolf. I'm going to have 2 wolves on now. And the one thing I was trying to be cautious of not happening happened. I happened to turn the staff and there was a snap. And that has, and I don't know how to feel about that. In some regards, I've had a couple of comments that the appendage was a little bit too big. So whittling it down a little bit wouldn't have been such a bad thing. And there was always a part of me that probably expected it to reach a point where it probably would have been broken off. However, there's also a part of me thinking, well, that's probably the test, really, is to maintain this thing and to keep it as was. So the breaking of that has really sort of knocked me. It's knocked me. I think that's the best way to say it. It's and expectations and the fact that you want to offer thanks and reverence to the gods, and no, I can think of positive reasons to accept it, with an underlying feeling of a little bit of horror, really. What's that got to do with runes, you'll say? And well, you're right to some extent. I mean, my rune this week was Ansuz, so speaking almost with the voice of the gods, means really I don't know, it's a representation to some extent that there's all these different things going on, and it's very much like a moment to hold myself to account. Obviously, going back to Frig's Day and the ceremony I conducted went well and is reason to feel positive moving towards Vikings Valhalla Festival and what I'll be doing there. It's not, nerves would be a way of addressing it, and I suppose to some extent I feel like really I would maybe want to bend my own rules by tomorrow not drawing a new rune but holding on to Ansuz. But is that word apart? I'm not going to do that because I'd be cheating myself. I mean, the fact of the matter is I have to go forward and draw strength from what I've had and keeping to this challenge I have, and going forward taking strength and resolve and inspiration from what I've had, if that makes sense. I know I'll be in good company and everything will be fine. Of that I've no doubt. Just feel it's not so much that there's nothing special going on, or I don't feel connected in a way. I think I feel like I'm falling short a little bit at the moment. And it's not that I want a buzz or anything. Just feel like there's sort of things are messing around me, and I guess doubting whether I'm up to the challenge, which in itself is probably ludicrous, I suppose, really. And the other thing is, it bothers me that I have a rune missing, that I don't know what it is. And again, I have the challenge that I've set myself, that whatever that rune is, I will attempt to connect to it without having a physical manifestation of the rune. And again, this is something I have said. Someone who practices with runes should probably be able to do. However, I am still feeling the novice, and as a thing to attempt. Again, feels like it's a challenge, sort of coming at me from the flank or the rear. Right, it's not the rear, because I know it's ahead of me. I know it's there, but it's coming at me. And it's all very much converging against me, and I'm not quite sure of myself. And again, that is the test, really. I have my hope for which rune I draw tomorrow. I say there's 3 runes left, of which 1 is missing. Not knowing what is missing bothers me in many ways, because either Tywaz is missing, the representation of Tyr, justice, Manaz, which represents humanity, as far as I'm aware, connection to the people, or Fehu, which, for me in particular, without looking at it too much, having not looked at it too much in the books, and that is with its association to Frigg, seems to be quite important. And if it's not there, then I could look at it as almost being the last test, or the next test of connecting to Frigg, which has been to some extent quite elusive, and yet on the other hand has been very much an understanding that Frigg is a keeper of secrets, a lady of mystery, a goddess who is equal to her husband, Odin. So all 3 of those runes are quite significant, and that 1 is missing really, it bothers me more than it should be, but not enough that I'm losing sleep over it, because that would be unwise, as the Havamal tells us. But I do feel slightly off my game. Perhaps in trying to draw to a conclusion regarding my runic journey and Ansuz, perhaps I am feeling a little unworthy of Ansuz. And that is self-defeating. It's trying to find a middle ground where I don't abuse it or become arrogant or over the top. It's good to be humble. It's good to accept and work with things rather than over big yourself, if that's even a phrase. That doesn't even feel like a good phrase, but here we are. It's it's all little cogs. I would say, perhaps even as approaching this stage of my runic journey, that I feel like I'm approaching the test. or a test of sorts of myself. And perhaps I'm being too conscious of what other people might think of me as much as I think of me equally. I mean, it's that sort of, do I have the ability to control this? Control, again, is not perhaps the right word. Do I have the capability to work with this efficiently and properly, respectfully? Again, I want to do it justice. Really, when I think back to committing to Asatru, committing to Odin, I knew that there was a battle to be had, a defense, that there are opponents, enemies even, that have to be quietened so that the general perception of this faith is received better than the easy, lazy even, common association with some very bad things that I will not honour by mentioning them. If you are in this or around this faith, you'll know what I'm talking about. And I'm very committed to that changing. And I'm in no doubt that that is a mighty task. And really, having sort of inadvertently talked through Taiwaz and Feihu, really for Manaz, perhaps that is the most important connection, is the connection to humans and getting perceptions right. There's no bigger task, no task that isn't, or no task that is more important than people seeing this faith as positively as it is, rather than lazily seeing the bad sort of parts that exist within it. All in all, it's been quite a big week, and Ansuz has worked both ways. It's worked at me, I've worked with it, it's worked with me. I'll be alright. What's the worst that could happen? Anyway, enough rambling. If you're still here, thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow when I do draw the next rune. Thank you very much. Goodbye.